Well, the first thing I have to do is I have to apologize about last week. That was Slacker Pastor. It was I'm not going to make any excuses. I could come up with some really good excuses, but I'm not going to do it because it just wouldn't do any good. Because they all would be just that. They'd be excuses. So I'm just going to say that I didn't make it last week. I didn't get one done, and I apologize about that. So this week, I'm just going to do an update about what happened in worship. Worship was good. One of the things that we're experiencing now in worship since our new relationship with the Bradenton Dream Center is that we've got a consistent number in worship, but the people who make up the numbers are not consistent. And that makes sense. You know, we're dealing with a population of people who are transient. We're dealing with a population of people who have got lots of issues. And one of those issues is that they might not have a regular place to live. They might not have a regular job, whatever the case may be. And so when we see somebody on a Sunday, we have to celebrate that, and we have to enjoy that, and knowing that there's a possibility we might never see them again, or we might not see them for a very long time. And that's a little bit of a different approach. And so just as we're learning, as we're going through this whole thing, we've had to learn that we're going to do some different ordering for gifts for first-time visitors, because we were giving coffee cups away to people who everything they owned was in a backpack. The last thing they need is a coffee cup. So we were thinking about different things that we could possibly do for gifts for first-time visitors. That's something new. We've been blessed so far the past 2 weeks with children. And so we've had to come to terms with the fact that we need to have something for children to do. Last week, Errol stepped in. Thank you very much, Errol. And he took care of the kids. This week he was out of town, and we really didn't have anybody to step in, so the kids had to stay in the sanctuary. And they were good. They were great. And I told the congregation, unless you're willing to volunteer and be a part of it, don't make any faces at these families and at these kids when they make noise during the message or during the worship service. But everybody was good about it. And I know that, God's going to raise up some people to start a little children's ministry on Sunday morning, so when the kids come, they have something to do. And that's going to be a good thing. And also, too, going along with that, we have to understand that when we see somebody, when we meet somebody, when someone comes to church, that might be the only week we have. That might be the only touch that we have. They might not be back. They might pass through. They might move on to someplace else. They might end up in another situation by the time next Sunday rolls around. So we have to take advantage of every moment that we have. We have to take advantage of every situation we have, because we just don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And in essence, I guess when you think about it, that's not a bad way to live your life. In total, is to think about that, is to say that I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't know what's going to happen. And so that's a part of the learning curve that we're in. Today was island number 3 on the journey to be. And the island number 3 is I make the choice to commit my life to the care and control of Jesus. And we talked a lot about that concept of choice. That concept of saying, this is something I have to do. It's not something that someone is forcing me to do. It's something that I'm choosing to do. And when I choose to do something, it reflects in my behaviors. It reflects in what I do. And we talked about the fact that, as we've said many times before, Christianity isn't something we do. Believing in Jesus isn't something we do. It's who we are. It's someone that we are. It's our being. And that's the journey to be, and not the journey to do. And so it's about who we are. And we talked once again about the fact that if you want to find out what somebody is like or what someone believes, then just follow them around and watch what they do, because their actions will always betray their true identities. It always comes to light when someone is being watched. They can act a certain way for a little while, but they can't be fake. They can't act. They can't manipulate. They can't pretend forever. And so their true being is going to show at some point. And so we talked about that item number 3 is about making that choice to commit our life to the care and control of Jesus. And we also talked about a Romans passage where it says, and the answer, thank God, is that Jesus can and does. And we focused a great deal. We spent some time, a lot more than I was expecting. But that's how God works. We spent some time really focusing on this concept of can and does. That Jesus can and does. Regardless of what you're struggling with, Jesus can and does. You need more forgiveness. You need to be a more forgiving person. Jesus can and does. So he's got the answers for you. You need be more compassion. Jesus can and does. You need more grace. Jesus can and does. We need more power. Jesus can and does. So we talked a lot about the concept of Jesus can and does. And it was a journey to an island that we know, and as we've talked about that, we might have to spend a little while on. We might have to stay there for a little while. Others might not have to stay very long on this island. They might get it by this time on island number 3. They've got it. They're ready to say yes, even though they don't have it all figured out, and they're going to move on from there. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how fast. This is not a race. This is not the race to be. It's a journey to be. And everyone's journey is a little bit different. Everybody's journey takes a little bit different direction and has a little different focus. It's because every single person has different baggage to deal with. Every single person has different trauma to deal with. Every single person has different struggles to deal with. And not one is better than the other. It's just, that's the reality of it. Some people will fly through an island real quick. They'll just basically touch down and then the plane will take off again. Other people, they're going to land, they're going to unpack their stuff, they're going to build a house, they're going to put their hammock up between the trees, they're going to cut the path up to the top of the hill to see the sunset, and they're going to live there for a long time because they've got plenty of things to work on in that area. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Just as long as we're growing, just as long as we're taking steps. We ended the service today with that old hymn, Just a Closer Walk with Thee. And that was the invitation. The invitation was for every single person to just take a little closer walk with the Lord this week. And that's our prayer for you. That's our hope for you, that's what you do this week, is you take just a little closer walk with the Lord, whatever that might mean for your life and for your journey. So, until next week, unless I forget again, and I'm trying not to, we hope this week has a great you. And we'll see you at church.